Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast today. I'm very excited to have along a group of individuals who are in a Get Counted campaign. If you haven't heard of it, you will be soon. There's a big push lately, and we're going to get lots and lots of information out there. So today we have all the crew here from the Indyapp and from the Get Counted campaign. So first of all, I'm going to ask all of you to introduce yourselves, and then we're going to have a short film before we start the discussion. So if I start with you, Jason, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jason Baird, and I'm from the National Yes Registry. I don't know if people know about it, but we kind of formed after the no vote, and I travelled around the country meeting all the yes groups that had popped up and speaking to everybody. And since then, we've held national gatherings. I think 3 national gatherings, and we've had uh, a couple of other national meetings for workshops and things with the groups. And through those discussions that we developed the Indyapp, which is like a grassroots communications tool for initially for the groups, but it's really for the whole grassroots. Now then from that we've been meeting with the groups regularly, with group members regularly on the Indyapp. It's got a video conferencing facility, so we meet privately weekly with group members, and it's that has developed into this team that we've got. We've got many more in the team than are here, but that team developed into this, came up with the concept of the Get Counted campaign. And what we've been, the NYR's relationship with the team is really that we've developed the tech and the app in order to put the team's concept of the Get Counted into action. So we've got the campaign now, and we've got the tech, and that's why we're out talking to people now. So with that, I'll hand over to the other members of the team to introduce themselves.
Great. Sheena, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Sheena Jargan. I'm from Yes Pentlands, which is in Edinburgh. And our group was quite involved with the Indyapp at the very start, just after the referendum, when Jason contacted us, and we did quite a lot of. We had Jason over to talk to our group a few times, and we were quite involved. And then I sort of got involved again about a year ago personally, so been coming to the weekly meetings and just trying to promote it.
Brilliant. And Andy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Andy Oliver. I'm from Yes Stonehaven and Mearns in the northeast of Scotland. I've been involved with the Indyapp and the campaign since the first gathering at Stirling, and I've been involved ever since, working on developing the app and into what became the Get Counted campaign. So I'm still part of that now.
Good. And finally, Lynn.
Hi, yes, I'm Lynn Hasty from Yes Haddington and District, which is in East Lothian. I first met Jason and Ed Smith in an online convention in 2020, so I'm a bit of a latecomer compared to the others. But I've been a regular attendee at meetings over the last 3 years, and because sort of user testing and development was my background anyway, the Indyapp appealed to me not only in its concept, but as a thing to be involved in and helping to shape. So and I'm very pleased to have been part of the team and be here to help promote it now.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. So, Jason, would you like to show our viewers one of the promo videos that you've made, but one I think sort of is a general one, encapsulate quite a lot. Are you happy to show that?
Sure, certainly. Hold on, just give me a minute to get my head around the technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see if we can do it. Am I allowed to share? I'm not getting any response yet. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Everybody ready? Here we go.
In 2014, Yes was understood as a non-party political mass movement of every person in Scotland willing to vote yes for independence. So, the vast majority of the Yes movement was made up of normal voters, not activists like you and me, who were only the local campaign leadership of that movement. Since then, that Yes mass movement has been effectively reframed by our opponents as consisting only of the diehards, as the small activist minority that refuses to accept the democratic result of the 2014 vote. This reframing began as soon as we allowed a mass movement of normal voters to be counted in terms of Yes activists joining political parties after the no vote. Strategically, this has had three catastrophic consequences for Yes as a mass movement. First, it allowed the political establishment to renumber the movement as 140,000 Yes activists that joined political parties after the no vote, rather than the 1.6 million Yes voters who still wanted independence. Even worse, as more and more of that 140,000 drift away from party membership in frustration, the media renumbering continues, reducing public perception of Yes further with every gleeful report of falling party memberships. Secondly, it changed the perception of Yes from a new countrywide non-party political movement demanding Scotland's democratic right to self-determination into one of a party politically motivated force used to win power for pro-Indy parties at UK elections. UK politics as usual. Third, this encouraged the independent supporting parties to assume ownership of what had previously been acknowledged and understood by everyone as a strictly non-party political movement, all parties and none. Party political leaderships then focused on fighting amongst themselves for their share of the Yes vote, rather than on unifying and growing the wider movement around Scotland's democratic deficit and our right to decide. Our aim today is to revisit these strategic blunders and work together on practical ways to reframe Yes back to what it has always been, a mass movement of all those who want independence for Scotland. To achieve this, we come from the starting point of the non-activist, from the non-politically aware, from the non-committed but already convinced independent supporter. These folks are already the majority out there. They are already regularly polling around 53%. Indy is already Scotland's majority view, with Yes support at the highest it's ever been in anybody's lifetime. Yet, the current Yes activist movement feels at its most tired and divided. How can this contradiction be true? How can activists be so demoralised when, outside the activist bubble, support for Indy is spectacular? Well, it's because all that non-party political Indy support is being purposely ignored, hidden from view and continually divided by party politics and its endless electoral cycles. Divided by policies, personal politics and the social outlooks of us, the activists, and our preferred leadership organisations. Activist division cannot be avoided. It's just a natural part of any movement that's required to shelter the diverse political outlooks found in a normal nation. Diversity is normal. In 2014, it was our movement's greatest strength. However, that collective perception of unity got exposed when, after the no vote, Yes HQ was closed and party politics moved in. Without the external pressures of an Indy vote to override our political differences and define us all on the same side, the idea of restoring unity by compromising our beliefs under a single Yes leadership is no longer viable. It's already been tried and failed many times since 2014. Unity can only be found where it already exists, not in our differing leaderships, as they embody our movement's celebrated diversity, and they do that very well. No, our unity is in a shared belief in Scottish independence. Once the simplicity of this truth is understood, all that's required is a practical method of expressing it. Our practical proposal for this shared method of self-expression is simple. A live, non-party political count of all independence supporters in Scotland. a national yes registry. Our aim is simple but massive. It is to find, register and network our already existing majority Indy support. Concentrate on getting the normal, non-active, pro-Indy yes supporter counted and registered, independent of party politics and social outlook. If you support Indy, get counted.
Brilliant. Right, I shall just turn this off. Stop share. There we go. Right, I mean, that is a video. This is a great way to start off because it pretty much encapsulates everything. I mean, everything's sort of kind of in there. So I'll just give you my questions, even though, like I said, the video's probably gone over them, and then I'm going to give the floor to you guys. So what I would say about that is, what is Get Counted? You can elaborate on that a bit more. Why do we need it? And why is it different from any of the other initiatives around there, around these times? Because I know there's a lot. So want to get into why, you know, the Get Counted campaign here is different, and maybe how this can achieve more success than others. So if we start off with you, Jason, again, is that okay?
Yeah,
And
yeah, of
please,
course.
if you guys put your hands up and you want to add something, it saves me going from each person, and then hopefully you guys will get a flow, and then you can all try and add
Yeah.
what you need to. So if you start first, Jason.
Well, I think I'm kind of answering your question a bit of a roundabout way here, but the thing is after watching that film, it always occurs to me, we're talking about reframing, yes, but you know, what is it that we're reframing? Why would we need to reframe it? And for that, I think you need to go back to 2014. You have to go back to what yes originated as and what it was, which was a campaign to get people to vote yes in the referendum. And everybody who converted or stated or wanted or even voted yes secretly was in the yes movement. That's what the movement was. It was about convincing everybody to vote yes. And if you voted yes, you were in the movement, you were us. So once the no vote happened, there was no qualification to be a member of the yes movement. It disappeared. You know, you weren't going to vote yet. So how did you? Well, a lot of activists joined political parties, a lot of finding ways to continue the fight. And through that process, the movement got redefined as all the activists, you know, and the numbers got counted by the political parties that registered those activists that joined them as a party. So what that did was just reduce yes. Now, what we are talking about is, we talk about the yes movement, we discuss it, it's been going for 10 years, but we're asking, how do you join the yes movement? You know, we knew how you joined it in 2014. You joined it by voting yes when the vote came. But if there's no vote coming, and the further away a vote gets, the less the movement can coalesce around that. So our proposal is, we count the yes movement. That's how we do it. That's how you get counted, you get your number, you get your registration, and that's it. We're not asking you to become an activist or do anything like that, but that's it. So, Sheena, would you?
Yeah. Sorry, can you hear me okay? Yeah. Yes, sorry. It occurred to me today that when I think it was back in 2010 or something, and it was either 2010 or I think it was 2010, and I decided to join the SNP because I believed in their principles. And so when I did join the SNP, I just really joined it to give some support to the principle of independence and give them some money. But I was sort of thinking that the Indyapp's a bit like that. If you want to give support to the yes movement, you can join, you know, you can give your support by getting counted for yes, and you don't even need to give any money. It's kind of a similar sort of situation, because otherwise you aren't able to join a yes movement, as you said. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it. That's what the Get Counted campaign really is. It's like, it's the idea of creating something which is simply about independence. It's not about any policy issues of a future Scotland, or it's not about you know, the party you're in, or whether you're a monarchist, whether you're a Republican, whether you're whatever. It's got nothing to do with that, because before independence, that divides us. At the moment, we're 56% majority, and that gets hidden by, there's 40% of the Labour Party are yes voters, but they get hidden every time there's an election. So our idea is to remove what happened in 2014 is that the yes voters and supporters got moved into being party political voters, essentially. And party political voters in Scotland are UK voters, whether we like it or not. So the idea of everybody who is a supporter of independence getting counted as a supporter of independence, independently getting their number, it means that we get counted ourselves outside of UK party politics. And from that point, even a small percentage of that 56% majority getting counted in that way will have an enormous impact on party politics in Scotland, and on what the agenda that we can set going forward with it. Lynn? So I'm sorry, Eddie, I'm running your show. You jump in.
No, the hand's there for everybody, it's fine.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of endorse what Jason and Sheena said there. I was one of these people who's been pro-independence all my life, but never wanted to get involved in party politics. But after the no vote in 2014, and there was this massive rush to join, mainly the SNP and the Greens, they were really the only two big pro-independence parties at the time. And I had a feeling of being left behind. You watch the numbers going up and up and up and up, and I thought, I want to be part of this, but I don't want to join a political party. But eventually I did, just because I thought I'll be out of the loop if I don't. And as soon as I joined one of the parties, I instantly regretted it, because then I thought, I've chosen a side, I've taken a position, and I don't really agree with anything other than just the pro-independence message. I didn't want to be political, but it seemed to me at that time the only way to declare your support for independence. And so I didn't actually engage with the party, and I let my membership lapse after a year, because I'm far happier being a neutral person at all the times. I did join another party later on and lasted about a year and a half, because it's just not for me. But we get people coming to our street stalls every time saying they're sick to death of parties, they just want independence, but they've got nowhere to go to show that support for independence, because anything you sign up to is a declaration of support for something or another. And that's the beauty of this. It's a support for independence. You're declaring it, you're giving a number to that support, but you're not sort of declaring a position on anything else. It's just a declaration of support. So I think it's a terrific initiative in that respect. I'll let Sheena in now.
Yes, sorry, I was just trying to clarify that I wasn't saying, I was trying to say that that's what I was trying to join the SNP to support the independence cause, and I'm not actually a member anymore, but it was just the fact that this is building a movement here, and you don't even have to become an activist. You can just join, get counted just to show your support for Scottish independence, and that's it, and you don't need to do anything else other than that. So
Can I just ask a brief question? Because can you explain a little bit about why it's live? It's not just it's not just it's a live thing, isn't it? I mean, you can sign on to it, you can sign out of it.
Yeah.
So so it's constantly shifting. So would I be right in saying that you can this is a thing that is live, and you can refer to? It's not like a one-time consensus or a poll.
Yeah.
This is a live count.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's essential. That's the essential part of it. It's also that everybody who is involved in that, who gets themselves counted, that's what they're doing. They're getting themselves counted. This is an opt-in thing that they do, and if they don't agree with what's happening, this is one of the reasons that we have to keep this whole thing totally focused on independence, because if we start talking about Europe, say, okay, 60% of Scots want, to stay in Europe, wanted to stay in Europe, but there were other Scots who are likely to want independence who didn't want to stay in Europe. And that's a discussion for an independent Scotland. It doesn't need to divide us at the moment. And so anybody, it doesn't matter what our differing views are, we can all get counted for independence. That doesn't, you know, we don't need to disagree about that, surely. So the idea of the live count is that when you register, but because it's the Indyapp and because it's the count, when you do register, you sign your declaration, and then you get your number, and you get your, you know, that's now the information that you put in there is your name, your postcode, and your email. And the email is there so that you can control your information. You own that information on the app, and you can remove it, you can change it, you can change your email, you can change your name, you can change your postcode, and you can update, and you can remove yourself entirely from the count by removing yourself from the app. So that will drop the number of the count down. And so at any moment that you're looking at that, that's a live snapshot of who wants independence. And it also covers the fact that, you know, we aren't collecting names and data and stuff. It's voluntarily being given in order to coalesce together as that yes majority out with of party politics. That's the aim of it. It's a voluntary, we want this thing, and that's why we're doing this. And when I don't want, I'll remove myself, and that's it. Yeah.
Okay, Andy.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize the neutrality of it. Now, a couple of us have spoken today about membership of particular parties. I've been a member of a party. I'm not currently a member of a party, but it doesn't matter whether you're a member of a party or are not a member of a party. You can still sign up and get counted, because this is a neutral yes movement that gives a space where party-aligned people and non-party aligned people can come together and share ideas, although we don't discuss policy per se, because there is no policy position for being in the yes movement other than for supporting independence. It's as simple as that. But just keep it neutral. We're not for anything other than independence, and we're not against any party or anything like that. We're just neutral in this organization.
Well, I think this is all quite clear. I mean, so once again, am I correct in saying that, you know, all that a person wants to do to get counted, like you said, party affiliated or not, it doesn't matter, just yes in general, they can literally just sign up to the Indyapp, and at any point in the future, if they change their mind, they can take themselves off. So this is not a big ask, is it? If you support independence, you can sign up to the app, and that's it. You don't have to do anything ever again. Obviously, you can get involved if you choose to, but that's a bare minimum what we're asking for, isn't it? Is that correct?
Well, I would say that the thing I would say about it is that I wouldn't even go with the app at the moment. We're just talking about getting counted. So you get counted. The app is just a tool to achieve that goal of getting counted. The thing I was going to come in here about the neutrality is really that we are not a leadership organization. That is not what we are. This is a count. This is a networking of support for independence and making it visible, independent of party politics, independent of policy issues or disagreements or arguments or any of that stuff. It's all about independence, and that's it. Now, if you are 90% of the population of yes support they don't want to be activists. Why would they want to be activists? They don't want to be in political parties. They don't want to live their life in this way. They want independence. 56% of them want independence, but it's not something that they want to dedicate their life to. However, if we got a large percent, a great number of those people wanting to get involved, and they wanted to get involved further, then that's what the Indyapp's there for. The Indyapp, you get counted, and then if you wanted to get involved in the grassroots, you can go to the Yes directory of the Indyapp and you can make direct contact with the different groups, and you can access the grassroots in a way that nobody else, it's never happened in that way before. It's not visible. But again, just as you volunteer to give your information, to sign up to get counted, you volunteer to do that, to act collectively. It's the same thing. You volunteer to join a group, you ask to join the group, I talk to you, and then you take it from there. And the app has a whole load of functions that are designed for that. But really what we are talking about just now is the get counted aspect. It's the focus. Yeah, that's where we're going. So I'm sorry, I'm just going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sheena.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say one of the amazing things about in 2014 was the aspect of all parties and none, and that was for the activists. You know, there were people getting involved, and more people towards the actual referendum got more and more people that had never done anything political in their lives got involved and just started to help. And I think this is really what this app is all about. Just anybody that supports independence can just go on there and get counted, and that's it. And they don't have to do any more. They're just putting their support towards this. It doesn't matter what background, what political views, what anything. That's got nothing to do with it. It's just purely one single issue: is do you support independence? You can join up and get counted. And then, as Jason said, if later on you want to get more, you might want to do more, and you can get involved with the other side of the app. But at this point, we're just trying to get as many people signed into the movement as possible.
And
Okay.
also, I was just thinking that it's a very important message, that, because, you know, we're all activists, we're all mad for this stuff, but you know, there's nothing worse than getting cornered in the pub by a guy trying to, you know, convince you. And it doesn't, you know, people are already convinced. That's not what they need. However, a lot of the messaging, that one of the things that you asked, what's different about what we are proposing and what we're talking about here. And one of the big differences is that everybody, all the other organizations and parties and stuff, they're always telling us to go out and convert those soft no's, you know, convert those soft no's. That's what you need. Well, that is absolutely not our message. Our message is, we know who's yes. Oh, I'm surrounded by yesers. I find it really difficult to find a no outside of social media, you know, and really our job is simply to get our friends, our family, or who we know would, you know what I mean, they would vote yes tomorrow if they get the chance. And we just ask them to get signed up and make their, you know, make their point, get heard, make themselves visible, make themselves permanently visible, and not some poll that comes once in a blue moon, you know, that nobody trusts anyway. So, you know, that's all I was saying there.
So maybe this can lead on to, I can maybe ask you about, so what's the plan now, and what's your process for, you know, pushing this forward and getting people counted? I mean, I'm sure it's pretty obvious to people listening to this podcast now. I think you've already quite explained how simple it is. You can commit a tiny bit by just by signing, or you can get involved. So, and you know, I've known all you guys for quite a while, you know, with this whole Indyapp thing. I've had exactly the same experiences of you, joining parties with the SNP and you naively hoping we could make it some kind of, but as we know, that all fell apart. I didn't last too long with the SNP. I probably became too critical of them, burnt bridges and all the rest of it. But you know, to me, it's always been about the grassroots. And so from my perspective, I mean, I'm sure you will agree, like you said it yourselves, if there's a binary vote, people will put X on a box for independence. But the position it seems that we're in now, it's a divided movement, but it's not divided. It's everyone says different aspects, like you said. So how do we bridge that gap where people will easily vote X, you know, when there's a referendum? So the crux of this is we need to get people counted, isn't it? So can you explain, or can you try to articulate how this process is going to go on? Because I know it's difficult, but you've got to keep pushing, and we've got to get that word out there. Would you be able to all give your opinions on that, please?
Well, I mean, I would just open up by saying we're trying to return to the spirit of 2014. You know, that's what we're trying to do. We're not. This is designed not to need a a government budget, and it's designed not to need like a first minister to have a civil service behind it to get the thing. This is grassroots in the spirit of 2014's grassroots, which is up to us. Like, Margot MacDonald said, you go out and you find somebody and convince them to vote yes. That's if we all do that, we're independent. And the app is designed, the Indy app, Get Counted, is designed for that. So once you get counted, you can pre-register your friends and family that you know are pro-Indy, and then that will send an email to them and they can download the app and get registered. You can't register them, but you can just pre-register so they can just download the app and log in, and that's it. Simplifies it. And once you do that, the app counts how many people you got counted. You know what I mean? Ping, it adds up everybody that you introduced to the count. And so that's how we plan to do it in the way that 2014 operated.
And I suppose because it's live, you can see that count all the time. So this is a continuing process, isn't it? And regardless, I suppose, of how quick, but as long as it's going up continually, that's got to be a good thing.
Absolutely.
Lynn?
I think one of the big bonuses to the app, and a reason why everybody should hopefully get on board with it, is that it cuts across all parties and organisations that are out there, because you can join the app but still be a party member. And there's other, you asked, one of your questions at the beginning was, how are we different to other organisations trying to do this? The big difference to me is that the other ones are organisations, and they have policies and they have aims that they want to achieve. So if you sign up to them, be it a party or a group like Believe in Scotland, who sign up individual members, or a group like Salvo, who take independent signatures, you're signing up in support of that party or group or organisation or policy. And therefore, not all of the movement will join you, because not everybody's going to agree. That's just human nature. We're not all of one mindset, apart from the one thing, independence, which is why the app is so about independence and nothing else. So you can sign up to, say, Believe in Scotland and the Indyapp. You can sign up to Salvo and the Indyapp and Believe in Scotland too, and be part of the SNP or ISP or any other group that you want to. So you can be part of everything, and lots of grassroots members want to be part of everything, because not everyone cares how we get independence. The big thing we care about is that we do get it somehow. So we'll support any initiative that's got a chance of working. But this one is the only one that doesn't have a particular policy. So I think a great selling point for it is you're not signing up to anything other than a declaration of support for independence. You're not adhering to, or you cannot be used as evidence that you support a policy or you support an initiative. It's just about getting independence. So that's the biggest thing. You can sign up to this and everything else too if you want to, but this is the only one that's got nothing about it other than declaring support for Indy.
I think you've articulated that very well, Lynn. Thank you. Sheena?
Yeah, totally agree, Lynn. It's what you just said is just, that's exactly what it is. And there's actually no leadership either, which is really refreshing. There's no aspect of we've got to do what somebody says. This is just purely grassroots from the ground up. You just sign a declaration that you support independence, and that's it. And then you can do nothing more, or you can start to work with other people that are like-minded or other yes groups. But the fact is there's no leadership in this. This is just the NYR, the National Yes Registry, is all of us. So it's everybody that supports independence. It's just in the total spirit of the Yes campaign itself, which was total grassroots upwards. There's no leadership, which I think is really refreshing in our movement at the moment, where everything is very top down. This is bottom up.
Some very good points there. I totally agree with you, Sheena. Jason.
Well, and you were asking how are we going to achieve this thing? Because it is, listen, we are fully aware this is a large, difficult task, especially the way the movement is developed, into these different bubbles, really, of support. So returning to the spirit of 2014, really the spirit of 14 we talk about as if we're all divided and we're all, this thing. But the truth is, in 2014, the real way that we got that vote from 26% up to, 50 or over 50 until the fearmongers, pushed it back. The way we did it was we didn't try to convince people who disagreed with us. Celtic supporters did not try to convince Rangers supporters. Celtic supporters convinced Celtic supporters, and Motherwell supporters convinced Motherwell supporters. Teenagers convinced teenagers. Pensioners convinced pensioners. It was that kind of demographic taking on its own demographic and convincing and talking in that way. And that's really what we are proposing. We're talking about yes supporters talking to yes supporters to do this thing. It's not a huge, difficult thing to do. We're not asking anybody to go out and public speak and do all that. We're just asking them to pass the word out to the people that they know will be receptive to this. And as the number grows, we saw what happened in 2015 after the no vote, 2014 after the no vote. Everybody piled into the SNP in order to get that feeling, oh, the numbers are, it's 80,000, it's 80,000. And then the next week when it was 90,000, everybody's going, yeah, get it up. Yeah, that's exactly what we are not going anywhere. Now, that's what we are trying to create and trying to tap into to get that momentum going. But the momentum is owned by the yes movement. It's owned by yes. It can't be co-opted into something else, and it can't be corrupted by the UK party politics. And that's really, so it's not any different. I think we have to fall back on our old tools that were so successful in 2014. That's because what we are trying to achieve is the same as what we were trying to do in 2014. Talk about independence only and not let it get framed by party politics and by the UK government as something other than what it was. So that's.
Thank you, Jason. Andy.
Yeah, I think we need to concentrate. In fact, what we are doing is concentrating on what unites the yes movement, not talking about what divides it, which is when you get splintered into different groups with different policy positions, different leaders, different messages. So stick to the simple message: yes for independence, and that's it. And that's where we can find support across the country in all of these places.
Yeah.
Good. So can I ask you then, just to get back to this live count, and just so we can get a more of an appreciation of it, and maybe look just a little bit to the short-term future, not too far in the future. So we have this live count, and I would assume that can be used as a reference point, especially as it's growing. Just as a number itself, as it gets bigger, becomes has a bigger value.
Yep.
And so say even if we got up to 100,000 people who got on the get counted, so you've got 100,000 people there as you can use as a reference who have signed up for this. But once again, even if you use the smallest figure, would be 5% of the people who sign up to the app would probably also join up into the app and communicate with each other. Okay, so even if it was 100,000 and you just said 5,000, 1 in 20 of them people engaged with the app and started communicating with each other, that's quite a lot of people nationally starting to organize and communicate with each other. Am I correct in that? I mean, would that seem to me that would be like at least a short-term or medium-term goal of the app to start that off?
Yeah, it's a numbers game, really. That's the thing, is the Get Counted campaign. If you want to think about it the way you're thinking about it just now, I mean, I got to emphasize that we're getting people counted, and that's the goal. That's you. If you get yourself counted, you've done your job. That's it. You know, becoming an activist is totally, it's like asking somebody to, you know, you can't force somebody to do something they don't want to do, and that's pointless. But if they do want to, if we create a pool of 100,000, the percentage of that pool that will want to get into, it's a numbers game. And especially when something happens, the Labour government do something, they I don't know, they suck up to Trump, or they do something happens that gets your goat personally, and you're already counted, and you already know that you can push a button and contact your local Yes group and get involved with other local activists, other people in your community that are like-minded with you, and you can get involved. And it's at that point where, you know, you throw your slipper at the telly. That's the moment that you can actually get involved. And if it's available, you'll do it. And if it's not available, you'll put your slipper back on and start watching another program.
So has it been like the history of it? Like I said, I mean, like, for instance, you guys have been together working for a long time, meeting up regularly and stuff, and now you've got this whole campaign, a growing campaign. So it is linked, isn't it? That amount of people that you'd have on the Get Counted, and the people would start getting active, because the more people are active, the more exposure and the more that's being done, and then you raise the count.
Yeah.
Andy?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it would be good to get all the groups that are in existence, some of which have gone dormant, and others of which have sprung up and we're not aware of yet. It would be good to get them all active on the app, but active doesn't necessarily mean running all of their business and their meetings and stuff through the app. They will already have other means of doing that. They will meet up in cafes. They will use Facebook. They'll use other social media platforms. They might just use simple email to get in touch with members, for example. But by doing it through the app allows you to meet other people from other groups and to collaborate, and is GDPR compliant. And that's a big advantage in this data hungry age, quite frankly. So it's not our ambition to get every Yes group working on the app through the app. It allows that, but it allows them to collaborate together for campaigns, share resources, etc., and just increase the awareness of what's going on around their own areas and further afield.
Okay, Andy, thank you. Sheena?
Yeah, somebody told me a long time ago that when you have any organization, whether it's the RSPB or anything, that people join up, and they quite often they just join to give the money, and they don't want to actually do any more than that. And the number of people that are really actually want to get more involved and become active within that is very small. So I think the idea here is just to get as many people that are pro-independence counted as possible, and that means that we all should be getting our friends and family counted, and our Yes Group members if we are members of Yes Group. So everybody that we know, and as somebody mentioned, Margot, that said if every person could find someone else, if that just kept going, that everybody that joins tries to find someone else, then this way we can really build it and make it grow.
Like Jason said, a numbers game. Yeah, Lynn, thank you. Thank you, Sheena.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think one thing I will just mention, the numbers have gone up by 1 since we started talking. So we are kind of, we had our launch just over a week ago, and it was quite a big punch on that day, and it did bring in quite a lot of new sign-ups or downloads of the app. It's having a sort of ongoing trickle-on effect. So I think it's something we should do more regularly, because I think it's going to be a case of word of mouth, people telling their friends, you're not in a party, you want to get counted, download this. So I think that's how we're going to continue to spread the news. But there have been quite a few people that have downloaded the app in the last sort of 10 days or so and have started to explore and have applied to join groups. And that's where it would be ideal if people who have groups or ran groups on the app when it first set up could get involved again and get their groups active. Because if somebody comes along and thinks, oh, there's my local group, I'll go and join them, and there's nobody there to receive that, then we do have a kind of fallback for that. We have what we're calling concierges who are looking after each group. So if there's no editor of the group to step in and welcome that new person, the concierge will do it and then try and contact the group owner to let them know you've got people waiting to join. So there is a capacity for that, but it would be ideal if people who've had any involvement in the app before were to download the latest version, because as you know, Eddie, there's been quite a few different versions of it. So get on the latest version, then you can receive messages about new group members. Because once people get in and see how useful the app can be, that's another reason they're going to go and tell their friends, get on board with this as well. So I think there's a lot more the app can do. But as Sheena said, and as Jason said, the majority of people are just going to sign up. I've declared my support. That's as far as I need to go. But you never know what's going to happen in the news, politically, or anything that happens and make people say, right, I'm not going to sit back anymore. I want to do something. And then they'll come back and explore. And we need to be as ready as we can for that. I think we are pretty well prepared for it, but it would be ideal if more people stepped up and started looking after their groups.
Thank you, Lynn. That's interesting. You'll have to remind me, because I'd like to ask maybe just one question before we finish up. Whenever we're finished, it's just about external factors. Because I've said before in this podcast is, although you can have this, there's like two ways. We can all want independence, like you said, without a vision. We can sort it out when we get there and stuff. But then there's also that part as well that you need to have some kind of a vision. I know, and this is really, really difficult. And I think then with external factors, say, with all that's going on in the geopolitical climate at the moment, we don't need to get into details. But like you said, Lynn, I'm pretty sure this does have an effect, on people wanting to say join up and say, I've had enough of this. What can I do, even if it's a small thing to get out of it? So, Jason, sorry, you've got your hand up there.
Well, I was just going to add that, again, we're emphasising the get count data, but if we're talking about this other side of it, that the something that the Yes movement has suffered over the last 10 years, since the no vote, really is that the grassroots, it's how does the grassroots get new membership, get new blood, get new, as generation changes and also as people get upset and how do we actually reach out and get new blood in? And if you go out and talk to Yes supporters, they don't know that there's Yes groups in their community. They don't know that there's a movement and that this thing is happening. They're unaware of it. But what we've created is the Yes directory, which is basically every group registers, has its front door, takes care of its own profile, is in control of all its meetings, does everything, just it's there, and it's a listing really. And anybody who downloads the app and gets counted can go to the Yes directory. They can look in their local area or across the country, and they can find the groups that exist in their area, but up until now have been invisible, and they can make direct contact to them. And so all that a group needs really is a person that's an editor on their group, on the app, who can respond to a private message from somebody in their local community wanting to get involved. And really that's, so our aim with the Get Counted campaign, it got to run parallel. We'll be talking to all the Yes supporters who were in groups and asking them to, why not just take on the editorship of your group? And then it means that if a new person joins, your group might be dormant, but there might be a dozen people in your community actually wanting to get involved and they didn't know this existed. So as new people come in, then the group can become active again. So as a sideline to the Get Count, let's call it just as a side effect of getting a large pool of people, supporters counted for independence, a trickle will go into the grassroots and will get active and will revitalise the grassroots activist stuff. So something I mean, I'm sorry, I'll let Lynn come in and talk all day.
Thank you, Jason.
I just wanted to briefly say, I know I've talked a lot, to briefly add that this is one of the best times to be trying to do it, because the most recent polling showed support for independence at 56%. But as I think I'm accurate in saying that the last poll of support for the SNP was at 36%. That's a hell of a lot of people who want Indy but don't necessarily back the SNP. And if it's only 36 for the SNP, you know, the other pro-independence parties will be even lower. So there's a lot of people out there with nowhere to go. You know, they want to declare support, they want to show their support, they might want to do something about it, but they're not going to go and join the SNP, but they do want to be part of something. So this is the time, I think, to get involved in this, get counted, and get your Yes group up and running on the app if you want to go that step further and be active.
Isn't that a telling figure, Jason? I think you're absolutely right there. 36% for the SNP and 56% for Yes. I think that says it all. Jason, you do that, and I need to let we pat up.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to make an analogy, really, or I think it's similar to, you know, the get counts, like the all under one banner marches. You know, see when the marches were at 200,000. You know, when Edinburgh when Glasgow had like 180,000, or what Edinburgh had a couple of 100,000, and then those people they weren't activists, you know what I mean? They were just people that came to show their support. And by doing that, the people who were on the stage, who were the activists, there was many more people wanting to get on that stage when they were in front of 200,000 than there were when it was one man and a dog. I tell you that's so the people who did get on that stage, their voice was magnified manyfold because of the 200,000 that were sitting listening, or the 100,000 or the 50,000. Now, what we are trying to do is similar to that, but it's not a march. It's a proper networked registration, mass membership that then can be leveraged in the same way as the people on the stage in the all under one banner marches could do. And it can happen, you know, the leadership that will come, I think, from this is, we are not a leadership movement organization, but I think as soon as people start coalescing and working together, they will come up with really, really inventive grassroots campaigns, you know, things that parties can't do, that they will do, things that are fun, things that are, you know, like the things we did in 2014 were brilliant. It was fantastic. It was life affirming. The eyes have hills, the hills have eyes, and all of that kind of stuff, you know. Now, those are the anti-BBC bias campaigns. No party did that, you know. No, it was grassroots people did that, and it's those kind of campaigns that become the leadership of the movement, because everybody supports it and everybody gets behind it. But you know, who knows who did that and who started it and where it came from? That's not the point. So that's the way I see it. But for that to happen, the first thing that we have to do is get this massive pool of supporters and coalesce them out with the UK party political system. And that's really what this is about. If I got one message for that, it is just, you know, do it. You support Indy, download the app, get counted. That's it. That's good enough.
Brilliant. It's empowering yourself within the group without having to, you know, relate to external factors, you know, or depend on them. Sorry, right, go on, Sheena, you got your hand up there.
Yeah, I just wanted to say as well, you know, that one of the beauties of there being no leaders other than all of us at once is that they can't be, you know, people come and go. All the party leaders that were there in 2014, they're all gone. But the beauty of there being no leaders is that the you know, doesn't matter. Nobody can be taken down or It's all of us, so that's all I wanted to say.
It's great. You can't do that identity cancellation or whatever. It's actually, yeah, far stronger foundations if we don't have that. I totally get that. So yeah, so the idea of the live count, like I said before, this is a reference point. So is there anything outside of the app and the Get Counted now that you think has has reference to the app? How are you guys going to move this forward now? Can you tell me what your plans are? Maybe you do more, you can do more podcasts, street stalls, all of these things, and try to get that number to grow, to maybe get to some kind of a tipping point, where, I don't know, the term these days is if you're on YouTube and things to go viral or something. I mean, I can imagine, if it really starts to catch on, then it'll start to grow quicker. Is that what your hopes are? Is this what you're hoping for? Like you said, with 50,000 people, but it's not a march and it's over and done with. It's like it's a live count, so it's always there. Jason.
Yeah, well, for the short term, this has all been done in an absolute shoestring budget, So our resources are the people who are involved in the team, and our first step is to get it out on social media, push to get people to download the app and start to get the number growing, but also to make sure that we get the things that we've been talking about today. I don't hear these things being spoken about in other forums or other environments. I don't see it getting spoken about in social media. So I think it's quite a new idea to people. So getting your head around this non-political aspect of it, non-leadership aspect of it. And we are not talking about how we're going to get independence. We're talking about how we form a way of developing ways of getting independence and getting a voice to be heard. So so by pushing as much as we can on social media and get the word spread, once we get our numbers up to a certain, we'll decide what we think they are. But once that's happened, it will allow us to then crowdfund, because the NYR hasn't crowdfunded for any of this since I think 2020 or 2019. It's a long time that no funding, and we've just been working in the background doing this. But once we get it going and we have positive feedback, we will crowdfund, and we'll use that funding to expand the message out to things that are outside of that activist bubble, which we can reach. We can reach the activists via social media, because that's really where we all interact. But it's the non-activists that we are reaching. It's the 56% that we're reaching out. It's not the 4 or 5%. It's the 56%. And the way I think we reach out to them is the same way that ironically, is the same way that political parties reach out, and that is through billboards, through articles and adverts in local newspapers and local radio, and we expand that way and try to reach. But for that, we need funding, we need resources. So that will be our next step. But to the short term and medium term, we're asking everybody that's a supporter on social media to spread the word, do your, help us, do your bit, get your friends and family going, and let's get that number going up and up and up. And then it will develop its own momentum.
So I get that, Jason. Well said. I think once again you've expressed that very well. Andy.
Yeah, we have had some funding from the Scottish Independence Foundation, so it'd be important to record that fact, and we're obviously very grateful to them. But it's certainly been done on a budget, because we don't have a huge income coming in, for example, and largely it doesn't need it, to be honest, because it's all it's self-funding groups, self-supporting groups that raise money themselves through street stalls and individual donations and things that that's been responsible for creating the app in the first place. To be able to go further, to be able to increase our reach on social media, might need to get into paying for adverts or features or short films and stuff. And that's where money certainly comes in and would help to extend that reach. But that's not why we're doing it. That would just help us to expand our reach and grow the count later on.
Okay, I think if you guys are okay, we'll probably finish up shortly, and unless there's anything I'm missing or anything that you want to say. But firstly, before we do the last round, I would like to, of course, invite you back at any time you feel like you know, or give us an update on your progress individually or wherever, you know, because it's all about getting it out there and stuff and speaking about things. So if it's okay with you, I'll give you each a chance to just say anything that you want to express that you might not have expressed so far, and just individually maybe tell us, like, you know, what you're going to do, what your hopes are. Just give us a roundup of how you want to finish it off this, and then we'll say goodbye to our viewers, and we'll catch you next time around and see how the campaign is getting on. So if we start with you, Lynn, is that okay?
Yeah, well, I would just say, as I've said throughout, you know, this is one of the best initiatives because there is no leadership. It's all about the grassroots introducing itself to itself, coming together, trying to recapture that spirit of 2014 without the interference or policies or control of anybody else. So download it, get counted if you want to go further, get involved, be part of a group. I would like to see the Indyapp as being the platform that people who support independence go to communicate with one another, because it's safe and secure. It's not owned by billionaires who can come and pull the rug out from under your feet at any second. You know, it's there, it's owned by us, it's privately owned, it's secure. Use it. It's a terrific tool, so use it.
Very succinct. Thank you very much, Lynn. Sheena, would you like to round up for us?
I think Lynn said it all there, really. This app was built by the grassroots for the grassroots, and it's everybody's in control of their own data on it. As somebody else said, you can come off it at any time or stay on it or get more involved. But the main thing for me is this is a mass membership organisation that has no leaders. It is just all of us, and I think that's really important. And if we can get as many people that are pro-independence as possible signed on to this app, it'll just really galvanise the movement, I think.
It reminds me of the Commonweal. I think they still use it as all of us first. It's Andy.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do is within North East is to try to increase the profile of groups there and make links between the groups. And the app is great for that. It's exactly what it was designed for, to allow a common awareness and at some stage a collaboration between groups to share information about meetings, speakers they've got coming up, and also to share in political campaigning at some stage as well. So that's what I'm planning to do going forward.
Thank you, Andy. And finally, Jason.
Well, everybody's really said it brilliantly, so I don't really know what else to say, except one thing from what Andy was saying there is that, you know, once the Yes directory is set up, all the groups have got their person or a couple of people for each of the groups on it. You know, there's no reason that we couldn't have a national campaign for recruiting into groups locally. You know, because the national campaign is, you know, do you want to get involved with your local group? Download the app, find it, and contact them and get involved, you know. And that kind of thing hasn't been done before. We don't, you know, we've never had a national drive to get yesers into groups and grow the grassroots. We've never had that. So that's a possibility. But everybody else has just said it brilliantly. All I would say is download the app. If you're a Yes supporter, download the app, go to your app store, it's there, and just search for Indyapp or Yes, and it'll come up. and download it, and or go to our website, nationalyesregistry.scot, and download it direct from, the links are all there for it too. And, that's it. That's just, and once you do it, it's automatic. You sign your declaration, that's you're in, you've got your number, and you're sorted. And also, if you get your number early, you'll have great boasting capabilities in a year's time. When there's 500,000
I think
people
I was
on it,
number
and
17 or number 37 or something.
Exactly.
I'm quite low. I'm like, yay.
But we'll be auctioning off the 007s and the that kind of thing. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, that's far in the future. Get some celebs to pay super amounts for the 007 or whatever.
That's right.
Can I just make a
Well,
last important point there that Jason mentioned? The website is nationalyesregistry.scot. A lot of information about what we've talked about is available on there. There's a lot of little films, like the one we saw at the beginning is on there, and a few other films too, as well as links to download the app. So if you want to be doubly sure before you do anything, then have a look on the app on the website first, and then follow the links.
And also all our social media is on there as well, so you can see what we're posting and share it. Share. Please share everything that we're doing. Don't just put a heart on it, but share it, because sharing is the most important thing for us.
And ask us any questions that you have as well.
Totally.
You'll get an answer, no problem.
That's great. You can get in contact with and get questions answered and stuff. I said to Jason earlier, I did notice, if I do anything with independence, or I see an article, or I see a podcast or do a podcast, there's about, I don't know, a dozen or 15 or something, organizations on Facebook, because that's, or IMAC, Independence, or Scottish Left. There's loads and loads of them. But I have noticed, since I've been showing a lot of the independents, little memes and stuff, they have been very popular, more popular than usual stuff I put. So fingers crossed, it is growing. I think it will. Where there's a will, there's a way, sort of thing, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, we're certainly willing to push. So.
Okay. Well, okay.
I don't think there's just a will, but I think there is a need. I think there is a need out there for this. And I think the ability of Yes supporters to get counted, raise that number, and cheer everybody up, cheer themselves up, cheer everybody else up by actually being able to do this and get the momentum going and proving to ourselves that we're not alone. And that's a very, very important thing. We are being gaslit continually by the UK that we're a minority, that this is a ridiculous, desire. It's never going to happen. It's ridiculous. That's what we're being gaslit continually. And the Yes movement's job is to overcome that gaslighting. And I think the way to do it is a live count that doesn't go away, and that you can grow yourselves as a grassroots. Don't need to ask anybody else to do it. We can do it ourselves.
Yeah, like we kind of did back in 2014. Exactly. But obviously there wasn't that cohesion as much as we could have done. Hence, you started up the Indyapp, the whole idea. So whether we get the chance again or whatever happens, we're far more connected.
Yeah. Okay,
right. Well, we'll leave it there. And thank you to Jason, thank you to Andy, thank you to Sheena, and thank you to Lynn very much for coming on and doing all this for us. We hope to hear from you soon again. I have no doubt that this will grow. I hope it grows, quick, but as long as it grows consistently, I'll be happy, and I'm sure you will all be very happy. So it'll be great to see how the campaign goes on. Lots and lots more sharing, lots of the little videos and stuff and memes that you do. I think I look good, and they're very popular and easy to understand. So, like I said, I see that going forward really, really well. So good luck to you all, and look forward to seeing you again. And I hope all our viewers have enjoyed the podcast. I think you've all articulated very well. I think most people can just see all the main points that you said. It's quite a simple thing to understand. It can be more complicated if you want, but it's very, very simple entry level and important, and what's needed. So thank you very much for coming, and thank you for our listeners.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us.
No worries.